Hey there, Vernacular Faithful. Redcoat here, and I'm going to be looking at another instruction manual with you all. You know, um, in the previous, we looked at a Genesis manual, we looked at a SNES manual, and we've looked at a Game Boy manual. And today, we're going to be looking at our first PlayStation manual, PlayStation 1. So this is Mega Man X5, and there's a number of interesting things that come from what this uh, what this has to meet to actually be able to function. So one of the things is PlayStation 1, right? This was the inception of CD based games, and the deal there was that they were first modeling their casings off of the original CDs. So that meant that they actually would model their instruction manuals off of those so that they would actually fit in. But one of the other things that allowed was for them to have the instruction manual actually be the cover of the case. So basically, you would you'd buy it, and when you saw what you saw here, this would actually be on the front of the CD case for the thing. And then when you open it up, you slide this out, and then you can see the game underneath. Or you just open it up and grab the game and leave the instruction manual in there, which I think a lot of people did. um, but I digress. So this is a Capcom game. So, one of the first things is this is made by a company that is focused entirely on making video games, Capcom. So there's a number of things that follow along with that. Since this isn't a since this is an external franchise tie-in, um, there's a certain level of quality that the nature of this game pushes towards the item. Like the quality of this comments directly on the quality of the brand itself, Capcom. So we're going to see that on the inside of this as well with some of the effort put in. But we're also going to see that the nature of how the book's insides are constructed. Um, there is an understanding that most people aren't actually going to be cracking this open. I think I read about that. It was roughly about the time when the internet was becoming a thing. So if you really wanted to know about elements of the game, you didn't just crack open the book. You could also look on the internet, and it's more likely that if someone was going to learn about the game, they would probably buy a Prima guide or something like that. One of those a game, uh, excuse me, a game guide essentially. Now, some of the general stuff, of course, we got the title, which is done very, very nicely, very well done. Of course, you got Mega Man and Zero on the front, the titular characters. The On the side here, and every PlayStation instruction manual would have this on the side. And if you remember from pretty much, this was also a stylistic choice that they did for the Genesis. If you notice, Genesis ones also have just a spot reserved for this is a Genesis game. Uh, Also of note, I'm just going to keep this here because it's going to be good for reference. We check the back of the box and we see an advertisement, but something a little bit different from what we've seen in the past. Because, of course, with the Soul Calibur one, we had an advertisement for another Namco game, right? Um, but for, and even here, even though it was low effort, we did see an advertisement for Magic School Bus toys, and also a mention of Scholastic, the producer of the publisher, excuse me, of the in Magic School Bus books. Now, with this one, because this is specifically connected to Capcom, and this is about at the point where Capcom actually has enough going for them that they don't really need to advertise other people or other things like that. So instead, what they're doing is they're advertising the Capcom Edge. And you can think of this as an old school version of the Discord channels and email lists that you would normally use these days to actually reach out to people. because they would have a website that you would register on, and you'd be a part of the community. New updates and information would be dropped directly to you because you are the end user at that point. You're the person who loves Capcom games. When the more caps, more Capcom games came out, you'd be like, I want to know, and so you'd be on that website for that. And I do love the thing on there on the bottom. Don't fight it. Join today. You know you wanna. But yeah, and also of note, so you see this here. Um, so I'm not quite sure what inspired them to do this, but it's on the back of the thing, we have this triangle here. Now, the reason why that's like that is because you're supposed to cut this off as a note that you bought this game as your proof of purchase for this game. And so this would then give you reward points, which you would use in the Capcom Edge Club. I don't know exactly what those resolved to because I was never a part of the Capcom Edge. But it's similar to what they do these days with McDonald's and other restaurants, just pretty much any reward system. It's just these days it's a lot easier to do because you can literally just track a purchase on at the moment that the purchase is made, and say, oh, they bought a thing, so let's put some more points in there. Um, Whether or not that actually resulted in good discounts or it just resulted in just kind of moving things around so that the person actually ended up spending more, I don't know, but I know that that's a general trick that's done these days. Is you're building up points, so you're encouraged to buy more things, and then when you actually use the points, you actually get a discount that's pretty similar to discounts that are already in existence. It's Or you usually end up actually spending more, which is interesting in of itself. Anyway, I digress. So we have Mega Man X5. The So let's go ahead and open this guy up, shall we? And I apologize in advance. I know it's not going to focus all that well. So we got here special message from Capcom Entertainment. Thank you for buying this game, and we at Capcom Entertainment are proud to bring you this new addition to your game library. And so, just a little thing saying, "Hey, thank you." I'm surprised. I almost feel like it's like I'm surprised you actually cracked this open. Thank you for looking at this. Also of note in here, they also have some signs of the era. You could call a hint line, and for 99 cents, you'd get an automated thing that would tell you this, that, or the other thing. For $1.35, you could get a live game counselor who would tell you what's up and all that. And then, of course, what I mentioned before, the Capcom Edge deal. You've got the www.capcom.com, capcom.com, and you could register there, and they would give you updates and everything. Of course, we got at the start of the book how to use your PlayStation, and also stuff about televisions and everything. I think all of this is there because legal, and of course, table of contents, which it's an of course for these, but I mean, when you think to game guides of the modern era, they stopped doing those for some reason. Um, so anyway, you got the setup and things, and we can already see that there's a lot more visual effort put into this, because we had that grid background, and then here we have one of the key arts that gets utilized a number of times throughout the advertisement run of this game. But you got the story here, pretty short and sweet. It's through 4 paragraphs. I mean, if you count that last sentence as a paragraph. And then just a brief mention of, hey, in this game, you can switch between X and 0 whenever you want. Well, not whenever you want. Before missions. And of course, I think the other unique thing in this one was the special parts system. where you could get extra customizable elements for the characters, although it was very obtusely made, so it was kind of weird. Of course, we also have this was a because this is a franchise game, they have access to all the art that they used internally, so they're going to use it on the inside of the book. So we got Zero, Mega Man, Cygnus, and the rest of these characters. Dynamo and Lifesaver never appear really in anything else, and I'm fine with that. Uh, I think in official games, I don't think Douglas appears in much else. Alia, although continued to appear in other games, must be because he's a female robot. But at any rate, we've got we've got the general stuff, some in-game imagery, and the just talking about different things that you can do in the game. But again, from just a general structure standpoint, there's a lot more interest here than, say, the Jeep Jamboree book, which was very, very dry, very dry. But here we've got, images of stuff in game, and that's one of the other things here. Um, so let's say we take a look back at our Mario All Stars book, which I mean, it already has more space to work with, so it's maybe not a proper comparison. Um, but you can tell. I mean, this is an earlier era. There was a lot more. There was a lot more interest in keeping the game going, keeping the game looking nice. But this is also Nintendo's methodology of approaching these things. Um, but in general, with a few exceptions in this, whereas with Mario, if there's an action that they're displaying, they usually have an art that is attached to it and just kind of a small blurb. Um, with this one, instead of using art to display it, they're just like, well, we have the in-game stuff, and that looks good enough, right? So we'll just use that. With a few exceptions, like the wall kick, the crouch, the jump, and holding onto a rope, and all that stuff. That's just um, that you don't see any pictures for that. And so, talking about the HUD again, a lot of in-game imagery, a lot of in-game imagery. And then the mission report screen, which still to this day baffles me. I don't know exactly how it works. But and then, of course, we have the items screen and just talking about each of the items again. A lot of in-game images just cut and pasted into the thing, and no real, other than you don't got that grid behind there. There isn't like a overarching gestalt style. It's just it's effective. It's effective. And then again, because they had access to the art, they go ahead and use it. They're like, hey, this is the force armor. This is from X4, but it's carried over to this one. And then we've got the Falcon armor, which is new to this game, and the Gaia armor, which is new to this game. Um, I'm not going to really comment too much on those ones. It's we've already many people have commented on X5 and its deficiencies. So I'm not going to necessarily go into that. But we also have the Zero stuff, and again, um, a lot of in-game imagery. And then these guys, again, they got some internal art, so of course they're going to use this. And these arts are actually used again in game. Like they actually use these on the introducing boss baddie here. Now, one thing of note in the book, they have the direct Japanese translations of the names. So Crescent Grizzly, Volt Kraken, Shining Hotarunicus. I'm guessing that's Firefly. Tidal Makuin, which is a whale. Spiral Pegasian, Spike Rose Red, Dark Necrobat, Burn Dinorex. Now, in the actual game, in the American version of the game, they have different names. Uh, I don't remember what Grizzly's name was, but it was let's see, Izzy Glow. We had Duff McWhalen and Axel the Red, which yeah, Axel Rose. Uh, then uh, Dark Dizzy. That's right. They called him Dark Dizzy. And then the Matrix for Burn Dinorex. I actually kind of liked those. I actually kind of like the English names better, personally. I mean, I know there's an established way that this is done, where it's like element, animal. There we go. But I actually kind of like the names better, personally. But then another thing of note, Dark Necrobat, he looks like a reference to the Mega Man 7's Shade Man. I'm not sure if he is or not, but it's interesting that he's there. He's also the character that gives you a move from Mega Man 2. But yeah, then some more in-game imagery. And then Alia giving you a thumbs up and saying, hey, this is strategy. This is what I do in the game. So I'm going to also do this in the book. Find out the enemy's weaknesses, use armor, customize with power up parts, even though you probably won't understand everything about how those work. um, but yeah. And then finally, again, take it to the edge. Don't fight it. Sign up today. So yeah, we got the Capcom Edge thing in the back, just basically saying, "Hey, do these things." And what's again, and this is similar. Oh, this is funny, actually. Now that I think about it. Um, so the So again, back in the old days with comics, right? This is the thing that they would do for loyalty would be there would be a page in the comic that you were supposed to tear out and then send in and let them know you bought the comic, and then you'd basically be noted as, hey, you can get rewards and stuff like that. And they did a similar thing with these instruction manuals, which in the realm of comics is specifically made it so that those comics would the comics that were actually preserved would become extremely valuable because people kept destroying their comics to get rewards. In the case of these instruction manuals, I mean, I don't think they'll ever become valuable because of that. As I actually think while this is a novel idea, um, we were already in the internet era. A person, if a person wanted to really, know that they were doing stuff, they didn't necessarily have to email it. They didn't have necessarily to mail a thing. They just register on the Capcom website. Uh, but yeah, it's interesting because basically you were encouraged to destroy your instruction manual. And the other thing that I found funny is this page, if you wanted to actually mail this thing right here in to join the Capcom Edge Club, you'd have to remove the strategy tips page. Oh, sorry, Ilya. You apparently are not pertinent enough to be saved. You must be sent in to the Capcom Edge to be processed so that the people can know that you bought this game. Anyway, I'm being a little bit silly, but that is Mega Man X5's instruction manual. So, I mean, the main takeaways, I guess, from the this book is, it's kind of points back to a bygone age, but there's something also of note. Just even back then, the idea of using word of mouth and creating communities around your game and letting that help support your brand. I mean, this isn't a new thing. This is something that has been done over the years. It's just found easier and easier ways to do it. I mean, these days you create a Discord channel and you do internet content, kind of like what I'm doing right now, and you get your email list. And ideally, it's an opt-in rather than an opt-out. At least in my opinion. I have my issues with things of where because you interacted with them, now they're just going to email the hell out of you. Um, But at the same time, I also understand it's like, well, aggressive advertising is important as well, since you have to. there's a lot of work that you have to do to let people know that you're doing stuff. So sometimes you have to be shameless. But in my opinion, I feel like you can have a little bit of shame, a little bit. Anyway, that was X5. So uh, that's all I've got for today. This has been Red Code of Vernacular Games. I'm the founder of that company. And we do video game consulting. Also of note, we partner with the Co-op Legion, and they help us out with development, and also they are they make comics, they do art and that sort of thing. So if you'd like to utilize either of those services, either game consultation, so for developing your designs and figuring out what you need to do, or a little bit of production, or if you'd like to utilize our the Co-op Legion and their art team to get some pieces made, maybe do some comics. You can send an email to vernaculargames@gmail.com, or send an email to redcoatvernac@protonmail.com. I'll have both of those in the description, but just for the sake of it, it's spelled VERNACULAR at gmail.com. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. GAR. So VERNACULARGAMES at gmail.com, or redcoatvernac@protonmail.com. That's REDVERNAC at PROTONMAIL.com. At any rate, this has been Redcoat. Play the games you want to play, boyos. I'm signing on. Have a wonderful day.